Momo's grandma, right? Her name for here on out is Hot Granny. Like there is no, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, and how blessed I am to actually be able to do episode number 2 of the Alchemist Guild. Here at the Alchemist Guild, we talk about anime, PlayStation, and anything else that I really feel like it. But today we are talking about Dandadan episodes 3 and 4. This anime gives Fully Cooley vibes. If you don't know what Fully Cooley is, then you probably still have a curfew, and that is fine. Fully Cooley is one of those throwback animes. If you have time, go back and watch it. But we got some amazing people on. We got a lot of people here. I want to give the floor to them. I want to give them the opportunity to go ahead and introduce themselves. Ty, I would like to open up the floor to you so that way you can let the guests know exactly where they can find you. Go ahead and plug your socials, your business page, and everything. So go ahead and take it away, Ty.
What's up? My name's Ty, aka BabyTot.cib. It stands for Chronically Ill Baddie. If you know, you know. You can follow me on X Space, also on TikTok. I have a business page where we sell candles. It's Aesthetically Black Scents, and that's on TikTok and Instagram.
I want to go ahead and jump into what we got going on. I want to talk about Momo's grandma, right? Her name for here on out is Hot Granny. Like there's no other name for her. So throughout the podcast, her name is Hot Granny. Do you hear me? Hot Granny with a capital H, capital G, Hot Granny. All right? So we got Hot Granny introduced in episode 3, and then episode 4 was just crazy with the animation, the fight choreography, and everything. Oh man, episode 4 was awesome. But I want to jump into it. I want to go ahead and I want to talk to you, Ty, about how you felt Hot Granny's arrival change the way Momo interacts with Okarun, how Okarun interacts with Momo, how both of them interact with Hot Granny. I'll go ahead and leave the floor open for you. I want you to jump in and I want to know your thoughts. What do you think?
First, I want to say, Hot Granny, I wish to be just like her when I grew up, cause that's the baddest grandma around. When she first introduced, I was really confused on who the hell she even was until I saw Momo's expression and how she introduced her, and I was like, okay. So you can kind of see there's a little bit of hesitation as a relationship. There's definitely love there, but just their history, of course, when she called her grandma fake, clearly that still hurt. But I don't think it changed too much. I do think it took some of Momo's confidence away. She wasn't as cool and lax as before.
I wouldn't necessarily say that it took her confidence away, but you can definitely tell that level of respect is there, especially after she woke up and she immediately went to go ask her grandma about Okarun, but then she was like, yo, she got on her hands and knees and apologized. That was the last thing I would have thought Momo would have done. But seeing her do that was like, wow, she really has a whole level of
She
respect
called her an old head.
for but but she still got on her hands and knees and apologized. So I'm just like, wow, just seeing her actually doing that is like, how powerful is Hot Granny and what has she done to Momo in the past for her to be like, okay, I need to stop and get serious and really apologize, right? I really like how that changed. And then as far as Hot Granny with Okarun, Okarun don't care. Okarun's like, I got to do what I got to do. Especially when he had to go to the bathroom, he was like, I'm gonna go. Well, he was hesitant to go in front of them because of the curse, but after a while, he was like, nah, I'm gonna go. I gotta go. I'm turtle heading really bad. So I like how Okarun really didn't change much. But do you think the arrival of Hot Granny, do you think that's going to force them into the situation to reveal something new about themselves based on what we've seen so far from her?
Depending on what alien or spirit comes forth,
Hmm.
I think it's just gonna force them to grow up and force Momo to like really step into her powers, or she's gonna fall.
She's gonna stall? Like, what do you mean? Like, stall is in like her powers are gonna get stronger, or stall like she's gonna kind of take a step back from what she's doing?
Like, I think it'll be too much for her because Momo's still in high school,
Hmm.
right? She's a high schooler. So, as badass as we all thought we were when we were in high school and that we could handle the pressures of life, this is something a million times different. So, to be given such power and such knowledge all at once and then forced to have like this job of protecting
Hmm.
people themselves or etc., that could make you fold. And no one would blame her for folding,
But
but it's either you're gonna step up or you're gonna fold.
you don't think because Hot Granny's there that it's gonna force her to want to do like tap into that a little bit more. And it's like you made a comment that she's gonna fold, but I feel like Hot Granny's low key been preparing her for this all her life. Especially going back to episode one when she had to do the little, I'm gonna call it the spirit pose. Um, Hot Granny making sure she knew how to do that was something I was like, oh, okay, you've been low key preparing her to fight Turbo Granny this whole time. So I really do feel like her being on the scene is really gonna force Momo to confront some stuff about her that she wasn't quite ready to do. So, in the sense of how she wasn't quite ready to admit that the spirits were real, but when the time came, she leaned back on all the teachings that Hot Granny had given her. So I really do feel like this is gonna force Momo to almost essentially evolve, for lack of a better term. So I would have to kind of disagree with you on that point. Last podcast, you said this makes Momo a little bit more spiritually inclined or spiritually connected to what Hot Granny's been teaching her. Do you feel like with Hot Granny being here, do you feel like the supernatural side of the show got cranked up to like 11 time?
I think it shined, it had a spotlight. It's having a spotlight in this moment because of Hot Granny.
Hmm.
Because, this, they have to introduce Hot Granny, and I'm sure they're going to introduce like Path. Like they're doing it elegantly. So this is just, I think, a spotlight on Spirit World. We're not forgetting about the alien. I'm
Hmm.
not going to say the Spirit World is higher up than aliens because it's only episode 3 and 4. I just say it's their moment, giving them their moment.
Do you feel like they're gonna somehow use this to explain that the spiritual world and the aliens are like one and the same, or you think they're gonna keep them different?
I'm gonna say they go one and the same because I can't say that the Spirit World and aliens aren't kind of similar in that aspect.
The only reason why I say that is because remember in episode two when the doorbell rang and Momo was like, "Wait a second, Hot Granny told me that this house had two doorbells, the regular one and then the one for aliens. I mean, not aliens, one for spirits."
Yeah.
So I was thinking it was like, oh crap, another spirit was around. But then Okarun was like, no, this is a type of alien. So I don't know why the animators and the screenwriters went out of their way to kind of put that point in if we're not going to see almost a merger of the two. I'm excited for it. Whatever they do, this show has my full confidence. But I'm just trying to read between the lines a little bit and see, okay, now that Hot Granny's on the scene, like you said, there's a spotlight on the supernatural. So I'm just curious to see if those two don't become one and the same.
Right.
So I need after going back and rewatching the episodes 3 and 4, like I was looking for more backstory on Hot Granny. Like they really didn't drop any backstory besides her explaining like how her powers work in her jurisdiction. We didn't get anything like who. Well, she got that little piece where she was like, "Yeah, I did go check out Hot Granny's lair," but I mean, not Hot Granny, Turbo Granny's lair. Yeah, Turbo Granny's lair, but we didn't get much else. Do you have any theories about her, about where she came from, what she had to go through, how she got her powers, how she got into it? Neither you nor I have read the manga, so I just want everybody listening to understand that. this is probably like the one anime show that I'm not gonna read ahead on the manga because I'm just like, man, I love how crazy it is. I want to be surprised. So, with that being said, is there any um theories that you have based on what she might be doing?
I honestly thought she was part of the schoolgirls.
What do you mean?
Because remember, they were like, oh, the schoolgirls, they kept trying to figure out who was killing them or how they disappeared or what may have you.
Hmm.
And Turbo Granny's background of that whole thing. Because remember, like in the part where they were explaining it, you saw like multiple girls.
Are you talking about
Like,
episode 4? Or are you talking about
no, back in episode 2. No, wait. I think I'm confusing myself.
I think because when she was talking about the schoolgirls, that was episode 4 after like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
That's what it is. So yeah, so episode 4, like towards the end when she was explaining like the respect between the human world and spirit world, you saw like multiple girls and then she's like, we're trying to figure out like how they came up missing or dead or what may have you.
Hmm.
I think I felt like she was a schoolgirl at one point, or she knew someone at least who was. At least that's kind of how I felt. Like, oh, maybe she went to school there. That's why she knows so much about it.
About Turbo Granny.
Right.
I think so too. Now that you say that, the pieces kind of are like falling into place. It's like, wait a second. Yeah, she did. Hot Granny doesn't seem like she'd go out of her way to do much of anything because of how, like, even in the beginning of the episode, her job as a median on TV, she took as a joke, not in real life. But it's like the fact that she took a special interest in going to Turbo Granny's lair and specifically talking to Momo about what happened to the schoolgirls. I think you're right, Ty. A lot of those schoolgirls and a lot of the girls that we saw kind of float out of that. I know we're jumping ahead, but float out of that little crab monster. I really feel like those may have been some of Hot Granny's friends that unfortunately were taken to that tunnel. So I think we're in gonna just my theory crafting, intertwining Turbo Granny and Hot Granny. I really feel like it's gonna be Hot Granny that brings Turbo Granny onto the hero side, just because of the bigger threat that's out there. And it's like there's we I know Turbo Granny doesn't have a physical body, but y'all know the golden rule. If you don't see a body and you don't see them actually die, they're not dead. Turbo Granny's not gone. We got Turbo Okarun that's got to come back. Like we have to get Turbo Granny back to get Turbo Okarun. But
Yeah, they have to bring him back like that. I'll stop watching if they don't bring him back.
I don't. Do you think they're gonna give him another form? I hope he has one more level after Turbo Okarun.
It's gonna sound really bad. I really don't care what level he has as long as he keeps talking.
So the voice once again is just doing it for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
He, that one line. That one line. I'm like Momo. Shut up, talking to me. You know.
Okay. So with all that being said about our wild theory about how Turbo Granny and Hot Granny are connected, I feel like based going back to episode 1, how the aliens were abducting young girls to essentially help procreate their species, it kind of just clicked with Turbo Granny going through the phone to go save Momo in the first episode. Now I think the aliens are gonna come back in droves and they're gonna be abducting young women like left and right. So I think this is really gonna trigger Turbo Granny, and this is how we get to her being like, okay, I'll help you while this threat is looming. And just kind of seeing, like, kind of reading between the lines now and seeing all the little hints, Hot Granny going out of her way to check out this tunnel with the missing girls. Turbo Granny crawling through the phone in first episode to save Momo from getting I don't even know if we're gonna say the word. We're just gonna say probed. We're gonna keep it PG. From getting probed in the first episode. So I really feel like Hot Granny and Turbo Granny, this is the link between them. Do you
So you think the aliens were the reason why those girls were taken? Because they were probing them and they just kind of left them?
I think so. I think they were low key like failed experiments that they were because in the first episode they go out of their way to show give the aliens the opportunity to explain that they only specifically go for female humans. You know what I mean? So it's like I feel like they were experimenting on them and they were refining their trying to keep it PG once again, y'all. Their little alien prober. I really feel like they were refining it and they finally got it right with Momo was gonna be the first successful experiment with that, if you will. Does that make sense? Because it's like they were too confident when they had Momo. Like they knew they were like, okay, it's time to repopulate. It is the go time. I really feel like that is how everything is connected. Once again, y'all, I could be completely wrong. This is just me taking a shot in the dark. I really like this show, but I refuse to read the manga. So if you've read the manga, once again, please don't spoil it for us because man, this is a good show. But that's just what I think based on the context clues and everything that I see going on. We talked about how Turbo Granny and Hot Granny could potentially be intertwined and how their relationship could kind of help Okarun and Momo fight the aliens in the future. But I want to take a second to really talk about how Hot Granny really affects the relationship between Momo and Okarun. Not her personally, because that's her grandma. We've already seen she's willing to bow down. That's her grandma. She loves her grandma. But how do you think Hot Granny is going to influence the relationship between Okarun and Momo? I'll let you take this one away, Ty.
I think she's gonna let her be a teenage girl. You can kind of see her play with her a little bit, like, oh, that's why he's here because he has the same name as the guy you're in love with.
Hmm.
Got
Oh, just for
and
the record, y'all. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but his name is Ken, so that just automatically boosts this anime to #1 in my book. I don't care. Go ahead. Sorry, sorry.
oh, conceited, but um, you saw her play with her a little bit about it, and she's like, no, it's not like that, and she's like, oh, okay, yeah, why else? Why do you care so much? But I do think it's gonna come to a point where it's like, all right, got your little crush, but are you doing this with him, or are you gonna, make sure your powers are strong enough for what you need to do?
Based off how she teased her a little bit episode 3, she was like when Momo was like, "Oh, oftentimes when I don't know what to do, I ask myself, what would Ken do?" And she gave her a little spill, and then Hot Granny was like, "Oh, the little twerp in the shed's name is Ken, so you do love him." So I really feel like Hot Granny's gonna kind of be probing Momo a little bit to go pursue, go fall in love, go give yourself that opportunity.
Right, just kind of, be a teenage girl,
Yeah.
because being obsessed over a celebrity you never met is kind of weird. So he's here,
I mean,
and he has his thing back, so he can use
no,
it.
no. Turbo Granny took it back, remember?
Oh, right, because that's how he has a deep voice.
Right. Yeah.
No,
So,
because
yes.
at the end of the episode, she was like, "Let me see it." He was like, "No."
No.
At the end of episode 4, he had it back.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. It was episode 3. She took it back from him. And then yeah, okay, you're right. You're right.
I say, "No, I'm not crazy," because he had a whole crash out at the kitchen table.
Yeah. I would but see that's what I'm so interested to see, right? I'm interested to see how they're going to bring her back. I don't know if it's going to be like a last minute they're both boxed into a corner. Momo's powers aren't enough to handle the situation and they need Turbo Okarun. Are they going to have to make a bargain with Turbo Granny? And is that something that Hot Granny is going to kind of influence for them? Or is Hot Granny going to teach Momo how to kind of tap into what Turbo Granny was giving Okarun so that way Okarun can continue to have his powers? I'm interested to see how he's going to be able to maintain the Turbo Okarun form. Um, what I wanted to know, in your opinion, like where do you Oh, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, I know where I was going with that. Sorry. So, with Hot Granny, right? How do you feel like her perspective of the world influences the main characters? Like, how do you feel like what she does influences Momo or influences hell even Turbo Granny herself? Hot Granny has a lot of influence. What's your take on that, Ty?
Because we don't know how old she is. Because for some reason, I feel like she's 106. I feel like she's seen a lot with her powers being restricted to outside the city limits. She had to have had made a deal with some spirit or alien or both regarding all that she can do.
Hmm.
Hold on real quick.
No, you're good. I will. I kind of take it from there. Yeah, I think so. I think as well that Hot Granny's perspective, like you said, we don't know how old she is. We don't know what she's been through. We don't know what she's seen. But even the little jabs that she takes, where she's like, where she was talking to Momo, and Momo was like, "Yeah, I fought an alien." She was like, "Aliens aren't real." And Momo was like, okay. And then even when Momo was like, oh yeah, I have psychic powers, she was like, I have psychic powers. And she was like, psychic powers aren't real. I I really feel like she has a strong say in what goes on with the story. Like I feel like she's a lot more important than what's being let on. And I feel like she's going to have a lot more sway. I think her powers work outside her city zone. I think she was just testing Momo. I think she's gonna be one of the more OP characters in this universe. So for her, I'm excited. I'm very excited. But with she really doesn't have that much influence over Okarun, though. Like I really didn't see her sway his opinion or kind of really turn his perspective on things. Okarun's really set in his ways. It's either yeah, I like aliens, and that's it. Okarun is who he is. He's not trying to do any more, any less. So I really feel like her sway is crazy strong in this universe.
So I also have a theory.
Okay.
Maybe she just knows that there's others like them.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
She just doesn't want Momo to get overwhelmed with, oh shit, there's a whole community of people. Because you know how you can feel like inferior because you're not someone who like knows enough about the powers, knows enough what to do. So she's like, yeah, that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, like, you have powers, cool, so what? So maybe she's brushing it off so she's more humble so that she can train appropriately.
Oh,
That way, if she does find out that someone who also has powers in her, it's not like you're better than them, you don't know what else they could do. You have to be confident in what you can do.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that makes sense. Because it's there's no way they're gonna be able to hold their own against all these aliens. Like the aliens just keep coming. They fought. What was it? Four or three in the first episode. I can't remember.
I think
It was three in the first episode. Then the second episode they fought the giant sumo one. So yeah, ain't no telling how many aliens there actually are, and there's no way there can only be maybe what we've been introduced to two mediums now. Momo's a psychic and Hot Granny's a medium. Not that I know if there's a difference, but it seems to me there's a difference in the show. So how many more psychics, is it gonna take? How many psychics does it take to screw in a light bulb? But how many psychics is it gonna take to actually fight off this alien threat that's coming? And it's like I want to know why the aliens chose Earth out of all the places they could have gone. Why did they settle on Earth and Earth women? And it's like they seem to have had an affinity to Momo as well. So I think the aliens are low key targeting the psychics without even realizing that that the women that they're targeting are psychic. Yeah, I really feel that there was a lot of foreshadowing that I mean not Turbo Granny, I'm sorry, Hot Granny,
not
yeah,
doing.
Hot Granny did. Like specifically when how she was giving Momo game on her powers when she was telling her like, "Hey, you need to use all your other senses instead of just your eyes." So it may come a point where Momo's not able to use her eyes for whatever reason.
If they blind her, I wouldn't even be mad.
But
I think I would connect even more with her.
I mean, they
Because
set it
I
up.
can't see. It's a lot of conspiracies this episode I see. We're just going straight conspiracy.
There's that's they served it up on a plate, so I'm not gonna not eat it. You know what I mean?
It's so much I could go for it.
And then it was like how she was telling her how I like how they gave the representation of Momo's powers too, like the animation that they used for it, the glowing green hands. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can see it, but it's not something that everybody else can see. to make it easier for us to comprehend. Like, no, this is how her powers work. This is a physical manifestation of her power.
Because that's what she can see and feel.
Yeah,
She can feel that it's cold. She can feel like, yeah, she can do it. So that was a good animation that they put on the audience.
they, especially in episode 4, they went.
I was wondering what she was doing with her hand. I'm like, what is she doing? It was giving like Doctor Strange. Like, what do you?
Doctor Strange vibes. I can see that. I can see that. But I want to shift gears and talk about the final boss scene in episode 4. That whole episode was crazy. The whole thing from them fighting Turbo Granny to that little crab monster. I'm still not for sure where the crab monster came from. I know Hot Granny said that in that tunnel there was there had been other spirits in there that her hot Turbo Granny and those spirits had fused. But why did it become a crab?
Well, she said when something happens, they become urchins.
I missed that part.
Cause I was confused. I'm like, where the fuck did the crab come from?
Right.
Cause I thought that was Turbo Granny. I was like, she turned into a crab.
Yes. So
She leech onto a crab, but then like they were holding her like a little gummy worm, and I'm like, what?
yes. So the gummy worm, they're saying that's her like true physical like physical realm form. Like that's her true form. So wait, hold on. We just gotta
Imagine
wait.
somebody that little causing that much
Right.
chaos.
So
She was like, now I can really strangle you from this position.
exactly. I wonder if that gave Okarun a power boost with Turbo Granny physically being inside of him instead of just having the curse placed on him. You see what I'm saying?
And I was thinking if Hot Granny and Turbo Granny like came with a balance and understanding, would she help Okarun with Turbo Okarun?
Yeah, I think she. I,
If that makes
no, yeah,
sense.
I think she would because it's like now, yeah, he has to get some help from somewhere. He has to get training because when Turbo Granny had just placed the curse on Okarun, he was only able to go all out twice. But it seemed like when Turbo Granny actually like the physical her physical form was inside Okarun, he could go all out. What was it? 3 times I counted in the final fight.
Yeah, I think he pushed that last
Yeah, I think it
one.
was 3. And
Can we talk about how he like slick called Momo fat? He was like, "You too heavy
I mean,
for this turn." I'm like,
he
"You have a whole entity in you. What do you
bro,
mean?"
he was going 1,000 miles per hour.
I'm sorry. I would still have to bring that up. I don't care how deep your voice is. You just call me fat
He
on the
he really
turn.
did. He was like, you could eat a little less ramen. But shit, you saw how she was eating that crab. So yeah, Momo, you know what I'm saying?
That she needs manners because that don't make no damn sense. How she was chewing it, I'm like, did she cook it long enough? Because I don't think it's supposed to be that
With
chewy.
no, she didn't dip it in no type of sauce neither. She was just eating it straight.
I'm like, I'm assuming you didn't eat today.
She was a straight savage. I don't know. That was funny. That was really funny. But Momo knew what she was doing. She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna eat this thing," before she even knew that they were gonna take it to the hot springs for it to get cooked. Momo was plotting. She was like, "Yeah,
Big back activity.
all baddies love seafood. I don't care, anime baddie, real world baddie. It doesn't matter. All baddies like seafood." And Momo saw opportunity and she took it. And I'm here for it. I am here for it.
Because Hot Granny was like it too. They were fighting over it at one point. I was like, wasn't it a giant crab? Y'all can't share?
No, that crab meat is sacred. You know. You know.
I don't eat crabs, so no, I don't know.
What do you mean you don't eat crab? Oh, all right, never mind, never mind. That's a whole nother. That's a whole nother space for itself. But the last thing I want to touch on, we're coming down to the final moments. The last thing I really want to touch on was how they set up Turbo Granny to get on the train to where Hot Granny just like obliterated her. That was the smoothest setup I've seen in a long time. Like it's been a long while since an anime has had me like, oh,
I wish they would have like showed how she got
what
there.
do you mean?
Was she just on the train the whole time waiting?
It's Hot Granny. We don't question Hot Granny. It's like Batman.
I mean, I'm not
You don't
questioning it.
question Batman.
I just wanted to see the behind the scenes of how she got there.
No, that takes the mystery
That's
out of
just
it.
me.
No, you don't.
I mean, it doesn't have to be in the episode, but they could have showed it like Marvel, like watch the credits and then it shows you.
Okay, I can go for that.
I just
I
wanted
can go for that. I can go for that. I can visualize.
But no, that was fire. Cause like, didn't they like obliterate her, and then it was like a young girl on the train, and then it was dust.
No, there was like, remember, like you said, there was like 4 young girls that came out of that little crab thing.
Right, but on the train when it was still going, it was like another girl.
I gotta see that again.
Cause I thought they like obliterated her to like her young self again.
Yeah, that was wild. That was wild. But let's talk about how Okarun hit that. What was that? It was like almost a 90-degree turn when Momo threw out her hands and caught the street lamp and swung them around the corner.
I think I blinked and
Oh
missed
yeah,
it.
you that was a blinking you missed it moment. You're definitely gonna have to watch episode 4 again because that was crazy.
I kept reminding it to that one part
Which one?
where he was like, "Damn, babe."
Oh. Yeah, I could definitely see you sitting there at least rewinding it 4 times.
Yep. And I think I looked up an action figure, so I think that's where I missed it.
Yes, those. Well, at least I know what to get you for Christmas. So,
Yay!
but that kind of comes. That brings us to the end of the show, y'all. Like, anybody have anything that they want to add? Feel free to jump in. I'm approving all speaker requests. Ruby Wolf, I saw yours earlier. I tried to go ahead and approve it, but I think I missed it. But if you want to add anything, go ahead and jump in. Before we do that, though, Ty, I want to give you one more chance to kind of plug your socials so people know where to find you at.
Hey, it's Ty, aka babytot.cib. I'm on X and TikTok. You can also find my business page where we sell candles at Aesthetically Black Scents on TikTok and Instagram. Oh, and X. I have a business page on X too. Duh.
Get that money. Once again, reminding y'all, this is the Alchemist Guild. I'm Alchemist. We're gonna be doing these spaces. I'm gonna try to do it weekly. I'm committing to weekly. Next week we are going to be talking about. No, we're gonna take a break from Dandadan. We're actually gonna shift gears, but more on that to come. But thank you to everybody that's joined, that's sitting in the audience. I appreciate all your support. This means a lot from me. I really do appreciate everybody that's here. Thank you. Like I said, catch y'all next time. Keep those notifications on so that way y'all know what we have coming in the future. All right, hit y'all later.